What's good, people? So, let's talk AEW. So, last week, we saw the last episode of Rampage. And we know that AEW has a very lucrative deal with Max. Now, Max will, of course, have AEW Dynamite and it will have Collision. Rampage isn't a part of that deal. And basically, I don't know if it's due to ratings or whatever behind the deal, situation. And I say that because if you look at the rating system, Rampage was actually, for several weeks, it was going back and forth where sometimes Rampage ratings were higher than Collision's. So basically, it's one of these things where, and it was only an hour long. So, I don't like to talk like I know what's happening when I don't. So I don't know what that deal was about. Now, I did hear that there was supposed to be negotiations between FS1 or actually, I heard USA and I heard FS1. I heard different things, and this is what I'm saying. Until I hear anything from someone within AEW, you don't know exactly what happened. But I was hearing, because they were saying that once, SmackDown, Raw, NXT, like all of this is going to be strictly on Netflix moving forward. So for them to leave USA Network and USA want to replace them with a wrestling show, this is where I heard talk, and this is what I'm saying, why I don't tell you this is what happened. This is things that I've heard. This is where I heard the whole thing about AEW was to replace Rampage with a show called Shockwave. And that was supposed to pretty much air on that network. So they would be on USA, TNT, and TBS, along with Max. I don't know if that's the case or not. Okay, it was funny because I had created my own show on 2K and called it Shockwave. But yeah, it was these are things that we hear. Now, my thing is this, right? People make a bigger deal about things than like what they really are. Sometimes when a company is growing, they want to get on the bigger network. Sometimes the ratings aren't high enough or whatever. It could be a combination of things. Okay, and the fact that people love to like point the finger at the negative side of things. Okay, for that matter, the relationship that WWE has had with USA, for example, we don't know why they're leaving. Now, I know Dave Meltzer tried to sum it up, and he said, well, the ratings were doing super well. No, 1.5s and 1.5s, all that's not. I mean, hey, it's still over 1 million people, but those numbers are way down compared to what their numbers used to be. So believe me, a lot of times when people talk, most of the time, unless you hear, that's why when people say a trusted source, they never say who said what. And they'll always say, yeah, well, if people know who my sources are, that would be trouble for that person, and then I won't have these leads anymore, or something to that effect. But unless you're like a part of the company, you're actually getting the evidence, you don't always know what's going on. It's like I saw a video where someone put on the cover of their video, on their thumbnail, that Mercedes Moné outrage and lashes out at lashes out, but they have a picture of Booker T up there. So then people think that her and Booker T had got into it, and basically that story was about him speaking about Tessa Blanchard, right? And the reason why the comments that people were making about Booker T, okay, and it wasn't even about Booker T and Mercedes Moné. There was nothing between them at all. The thumbnail was misleading, but the reason that people are lashing out at Booker T, okay, as far as, and I'm not even going to say lashing out, but while they're saying things to Booker T, Okay, because Booker T looks a bit like he looks like a hypocrite right now. Why? I understand what he's saying about Tessa Blanchard. Like, look, man, she apologized for what she said and did, whatever. Her and the person or people involved made amends or whatever. I don't know how many people she made amends with. Uh, but I get what he's saying as far as, look, if that person has gotten over it, they moved on. We should too. He said he got a second chance in life. That's why he's able to do what he's doing today. I get all of that. And here's the thing, though. The people that's making these comments about Mercedes Moné, saying that, oh, she's arrogant and she's this and that. Yeah, her and like 99.9% of them are arrogant. Rich people think that they're better than they just think that they're better than others. That's just the way it is. So this is like, for my mindset is, we speak about a product. I enjoy a product. I speak about right and wrong. I speak about what's real. I speak about the things that's in front of us. What I don't do is go into fan mode because I'm nobody's fan. I like certain people's characters more than others, but as far as like personally, I don't know these people. Okay, but what people need to understand, this lashing out, this outrage that they're exaggerating, there was no outrage. Basically, what happened was Mercedes Moné was on her treadmill and she's doing a live. Someone made a comment, okay, about a downgrade must be consistent or something to that effect. Like, like they were like making fun of her as if like her being in AEW all of a sudden like her life is taking a turn for the worse or something. And she responded and said, "Idiot, I am making far more money than I've ever been. I'm rich, much richer. I'm rich. I'm rich in life. I'm rich and I'm living my best life." Now, you see, the thing is this, right? I don't like a show off. I really don't get along with arrogant people. You got to understand this situation. For someone to step over that line and say what's in somebody's pockets, what's in somebody's bank account, is complete disrespect. She was directly talking to a particular person that made a comment on her video. This wasn't her making a video to say, hey, I just want to let you guys know I'm rich and, I have more money than you. And no, she's responding to someone because this is what people do. People want to tell you what's best for you. Example, when someone leaves the WWE, what's the first thing that they do? Say, when they come to AEW, oh, it doesn't matter. They'll use this person for 2 weeks and then they'll forget about them. They'll always find something to complain about. No different from people saying, oh, Ricochet is being buried again. Ricochet is doing far worse in AEW. That's bullshit. You can't even remember the last match Ricochet won in WWE. In fact, Ricochet is one of the top in the Continental Classic with points. And him and Darby Allin's match went to a draw. Please tell me how Ricochet is doing worse in AEW. And I guarantee you, and I know because we've already seen interviews with Ricochet. Ricochet will tell you the exact opposite. But yet, you have these know-it-alls that know everybody's life and what's best for everybody. Anyone that exits WWE and enters AEW, it's just this bitterness. Like, that person should just go sit home, retire, do absolutely nothing, fiddle with their thumbs, and wait for WWE to give them a call back, even if it's years later. In fact, for all you CM Punk fans, if it wasn't for AEW, CM Punk wouldn't be in WWE right now. If it wasn't for AEW, Cody Rhodes wouldn't be in WWE right now. So all of these different things that people are saying, in fact, Andrade Idolo, all these guys, all these things that people are saying, it really doesn't matter. It's just one of these things where people love to contribute to false narratives and lies. The reality is, a person is going to do what's best for their career, what's best for them and their families, and we have no say-so in that. And you have to be a completely arrogant person to do so, to sit and think that you can suggest where someone should go, right? And you know what's better for them than what you should have. Make sure your life is in order. That's the only person. You have children, you have sons and daughters in your life. Make sure that you're upbringing your kids right and you're preparing their futures right, instead of focusing on what someone else should do. That's what somebody who has no life, that does nothing but sit in front of a computer screen all day, just leaving message after message after message, hoping just to be acknowledged by these rich, famous people. And that's pretty much what that comes down to. So you have the right to talk about her personal life and talk about what you think is in her bank account but she doesn't have a right to defend herself. And that's pretty much all that came down to. And the backlash, the things that people are saying about Booker T, because for one, he's talking about forgiveness and peace. Well, a couple of months ago, he did a video talking about how he hate Ahmed Johnson. And hey, if you see Ahmed Johnson, it's on site. Wherever they at, wherever you see him, it's on site. So if you're talking about forgiveness and forgetting, man, you're angry and upset about some shit that supposedly happened decades ago. You're damn near 60 years old, still talking about fighting someone. And so this is where that comes from. Okay. And then two, with Booker T, if you want to talk about being fair and stop all this hate, because he even made a reference, like a example of, like, with his company, Reality of Wrestling, how there was two females that wasn't getting along, and he told them they needed to squash their beef and get it right. Social media got wind of the situation and pumped it up, not knowing that these two have moved on. But at the same time, that's the point. When you say get rid of negativity, stop all of this hate, like Booker T, what do you think that's called when people are purposely just coming on to an AEW topic and saying, I'm just here for the AEW hate, and they have nothing but negative things to say about whatever AEW is doing, and then you give your 2 cents and you understand where the energy is coming from. So are you doing that to go with the popular narrative to get people to pay more attention to you and your channel and what you got going on? Or are you saying this from the heart? Because that's the thing. It's like you're instigating when these things are said. Look, the one good thing I've heard him say was in reference to Swerve Strickland and him doing great things and big things. Well, at the same time, when people were saying, well, WWE broke up the Hurt Business way too soon. Well, now you have the Hurt Syndicate over in AEW. And then people were saying, oh, they stole WWE's idea. Well, hold up. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I know I'm not wrong. Well, Kenny King, MVP, Bobby Lashley, was the beatdown clan in TNA. So how in the hell did AEW steal a WWE idea? Pretty much WWE stole a TNA idea. That would be the correct thing to say. So you can't sit and say what's the stealing of? No, you decided the Hurt Business wasn't important anymore. You broke them up. People wasn't ready for that to end. AEW saying, hey, we can breathe new life into this thing. Now, the fact that every time someone leaves WWE and come to AEW, the mindset that WWE marks have is that they're supposed to come to AEW and just become champion, become undefeated, that they're complaining about everything. So Shelton Benjamin's supposed to just come, be undefeated, win the Continental Classic, right? Ricochet supposed to be undefeated, win the Continental Classic, right? Bobby Lashley's supposed to just be undefeated and win whatever he's going to do, never to ever lose at anything. Look, man, this is where people have to really understand. You're talking to one-sided, one-track-minded, biased people, and that's what you're going to get every single time. Now, I do not know what's going to happen in the future. I'm seeing Tony Khan the way I see him. He's going to want to push to have his third show back. The thing that I've said about Rampage, and this is something that people really should understand. You can't have an hour show in the long term anymore. When it started off as an hour, it was like, okay, I get it. This is what they're doing right now. Hopefully that turns into 2 hours. To have an hour show is like, it's just so much that you need to have. Like, basically, I think they packed a lot into that show. And you got to look at commercial breaks and all of these things. So you at least got 3 matches out of that hour. So out of a 2 hour show, you get 5 to 6 matches per show. Because you got the storytelling in between, like I said, the intermissions and all, like these little breaks, commercial breaks and all. But when you really look at it, right, you don't ever want to have to let go of something. Now, whether they get another deal on another network or they create another show with a fresh start to replace Rampage, because Rampage basically, I think Tony did the right thing too. Why? In terms of not building up and talking about it way ahead of time. Because you see what happens, you're already going to get negative press from people. Oh, the show was this, the show was that. Someone even put in the comment section in one of the videos, yep, like a big kid, they put aha, aha, LO, like a big child. One down, two to go, right? I always say this to people, I'm going to say it again. I don't work for AEW. I don't care how you see AEW or any other company for that matter. My thing to people is, if AEW is so trash, if Dynamite is so trash, if Rampage is so trash, if Collision is so trash, if the company is so trash, if AEW Fight Forever is so trash, but you invest time into watching trash, what does that make you? Facts. Actual facts. And that's pretty much my take on that. I don't invest into anything that I consider trash and waste my time to show my face or lend my voice or just waste my time, to sit and indulge in something that I consider trash. Okay, if you playing shit, guess what you are. If you're dating a whore and you reference her as a whore and you're aware but you won't let her go, guess what you are. Okay, if you have a bunch of racist people around you and you're walking and marching with them and pumping your fists in the air and speaking with them, guess what you are. So you can tell yourself, I'm different, I'm not the same, or no, that's not what my point is. No, that's exactly what you are. Like the old saying, you are what you eat, right? Okay, so bottom line, if you indulge in trash, how bad does that make you look? Don't know what's going to happen with Ram as far as, this new show, Shockwave. This is what I was told. This is what I read. And these are the things that I've heard. But the thing is, the networks, I'm hearing USA, I'm hearing FS1. Those are the two networks that I actually heard. So who knows? Maybe because in the future, like Tony Khan said, and you see what the WWE is doing, maybe this will end up being a home for the new show, Shockwave, strictly being on, Max. Think about this. Ring of Honor doesn't have its own show where they haven't been functioning without Dynamite or Collision being a part of that show, and Ring of Honor being the opener as a show. Ring of Honor by far is not as popular as Rampage was. So if Ring of Honor is going to be a part of what Tony Khan is doing going forward on Max, well, this is why I say there has to be things that we don't know as far as why Rampage was discontinued. Doesn't matter. What happened happens. And AEW is fine and going forward. The problem with people is, like I said, it's like if you don't like something, just leave it alone. It's just something about people. They're just so addicted to being morons. And the fact that we're in a generation where grown ass men are saying, aha, aha, like, I mean, seriously, this is why men can't get women. Because they act like children. And this is all that you see. This is all you hear. Whatever's going on with AEW going forward, like I said, I don't look forward to any of these companies going out of business. Even if I don't like something, I just simply don't need to, I don't have to indulge in it. But at the same time, this is all we're getting right now. It's a bunch of nonsense. We'll see what happens going forward. And hey, January 1st, we'll have a whole lot of AEW content to look at and to go back into on Max. And hey, man, I think this is a solid move. Now, when you look at companies like MLW, New Japan, hey, man, like, this might be a saving grace for companies to where they don't have major TV deals and, hey, just to have a wrestling library. And that's what it's going to take, is someone who actually has an interest in professional wrestling for things like that to happen. Because if it's all about we only want the bigger companies, well, hey, that's what you're going to be limited to. So if you're like me and you just love professional wrestling as a whole, YouTube is what it is right now. And like I said before, that's one of those situations where, and if they don't upload consistently, then you can't follow the stories. It's more like you just see what's going on with the show. And not that you can't enjoy the show, because I can, but everybody's not going to have the same success. Let's just put it like that. And Max is a giant of a streaming platform, just like Netflix is a giant of a streaming platform. And AEW and WWE are the two biggest companies that's out there. So when you look at what they're both doing, someone's going to follow. And what does that say for TNA as well? You know, I feel like that's a move that will help TNA. It more than likely wouldn't be on Max, and it more than likely wouldn't be on, WWE don't like to share platforms with other wrestling companies. You know, they get to dictate what they do with TNA. So in their agreements, if you look at what I've been telling you guys, none of these people from TNA has crossed over and went to Raw or SmackDown. Everything was with NXT. So they're treating TNA like, okay, you're not that big yet. People don't see that. That's what that is. That's dictatorship, man. And yeah, it does. Listen, at the end of the day, you look at the other companies like Hulu and what is it, Sling and whatever other companies out there. Who knows? If one of these companies decide that, hey man, let's bring TNA, let's try to get a deal with TNA or MLW. Hell, we'll see what happens. But I feel like that's pretty much, you watch everything change, like this era right here. You see people, like, you go into the stores, you don't really see, you have small collections of CDs, much smaller collections of DVDs and Blu-rays. Now everything is about streaming. At some point, DVDs, Blu-rays will all be a thing of the past. Streaming will be around a lot longer until they find something differently. Whenever that will happen, don't know. But that's just the way things happen, out with the old and with the new. Life goes on with or without you. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys right now. I will catch you guys on the next video.